Hello, and welcome back to the Ask the Color Expert podcast. Today's special guest is Lisa Gilbride. She is a hairstylist at the Hair Loft in Pennsylvania. She just told me 2 seconds ago, and I forgot that quick. In Pennsylvania, and she is a member in my special group, the Hair Color Secrets Insiders. I have had the pleasure to meet her both virtually and in person. And I am so very proud of her journey and her, success and how much she has gained since I've met her, that I really was excited when she said that she would do this podcast. So Lisa, thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone and being my guest today. Welcome.
You're welcome. It's all due to you that I've come this far.
Oh, that's so sweet. I just love your story, and I want you to share it in, just regular terms of, how we connected, how this, how your transition happened to being more confident in color, because everyone listening to an Ask the Color Expert podcast is having some sort of anxiety where it comes to hair color and how many different things there are to know about it, especially corrective color. So just start with your story on, first of all, how we found each other and what has happened since we've met.
Okay, I've come a long way. So at first I was very nervous, but I think I'm getting better at this. About 2 or 3 years ago, I decided I needed some education. I went to Philadelphia. It was a trip. I drove myself, almost got killed on the Schuylkill, which is like the Schuylkill. And I went to a class with Ian Matthews, and Elaine was the guest. And she was his model. And I videoed it. And years later, after the COVID, I was looking for education, and I came across, I guess, a podcast, or somebody mentioned Elaine. And I said, God, like, she looks familiar. And I went back, and sure enough, it was Elaine. And I was like, oh my God, this is meant to be. So I was watching, and it's expensive, and I didn't want to take the jump. And I was listening to all these little tidbits. Guess what? Nothing. You need to be in the membership. So I thought, okay, I'm going to join. And since I joined, I thought I'm going to do whatever she tells me. I'm going to listen. And I was really nervous, and I failed a couple times, but you fail forward. And I did the swatches. My membership is wonderful. And then I came and I did another year. I'm a second year member now, but my treat was going to the retreat after my first year. And I went to Florida by myself. And I hired a driver, and they took me all over for 2 or 3 days. I was on the beach every day. The best thing ever was that retreat. And when I first got there, she had this lady, Alejandra, who spoke. And I was thinking, why are we listening to her at a color class? And she said, you have to have your mind and your act together before you could do anything else. So I thought, oh my God, she's speaking to me. Came back, signed up. I did 2 months with her, did a 180. And here I am. And again, she's fabulous. Ian is fabulous. Whatever she says, the mentorship, and nobody's making me do this, but it's like, oh my God, I'm so thrilled. And I knew nothing. I went to school. I went to beauty school. They don't teach you anything. And nobody would help me at my job. They tried, but again, it wasn't right. And I talk a lot, and I get them nervous, but that's okay. So now I'm more confident, and I can't wait now to do people, not really big corrections. I'm still working on that. By the end of my second year, hopefully I'll be a pro at that, but formulation and just the consultation is the best. Natalie, her consultation, Joe Blackwell, all the things in Revival, you get to rewatch. All her friends are so wonderful. They call you back. They give you their emails. Like I'm friends with Joe Blackwell. Huh. And Shereen, like, who would think? Yeah, and Elaine
awesome.
did all this, and she's just so sign up, hit that button, because you won't regret it.
I love that you said, you were afraid that it was too big of an investment. You were afraid to go all in. And then that once you did go all in, that you did all of the things. Like I said, it's important to do this, you did it. And that's what stands out to me as a star student. If I think in the hundreds of people who've been through the program, there's so many that don't even open the library. They don't do any of the lessons. They don't show up on any of the coaching calls. They don't do it. And then they think that just because they pulled out their credit card and paid for it, that it's automatically going to make them a better colorist. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So you've done the work. You stepping out of your comfort zone. I know how timid you were when you started. And for you to come to the in-person retreat, you take care of your dad, you're an amazing daughter, and you put everyone before yourself. So the fact that you stepped outside of your comfort zone and, you know, came and pushed yourself to come to the in-person, and then there you had no idea who Alejandra was or that she was even going to be there, but that was what you needed at that time in your life. And that's exactly how I met Alejandra. So it's like a universal happenstance. That's such a beautiful thing. But for me, what stands out is you did the trust fall with me, which I always start when I'm doing the boot camps and I'm inviting people into the membership. I say, all I'm asking you to do is trust me. And you trusted me. And there was a couple times in the beginning that I would tell you something and then you would go to work and one of your coworkers would say, don't do that, do this. And they had more experience than you. They had been doing it longer. You thought that they knew more. And I get the struggle because you're more, you don't know me. You didn't even meet me at that time. You know, I'm some stranger on the internet and these are women that you work with all day, every day. But you took it in, you listened to what they said. And then you were like, no, because that's what I would have done before. And I'm in this training because I want to know different. And you trusted it and you did it. I love that you did the swatches yourself. I say the same things to hundreds of people and maybe 5 actually take the time to do the swatches. You did them. And that's why you're now understanding color.
Yep.
So I'm so proud of you and getting the feedback from you. You're so generous with your feedback. And I have to share while we're giving each other compliments that I've never had anybody rally my whole group together to honor me with personal notes and a beautiful gift. Like I'm
glad you like that. That was very nice.
I'm looking at it right now on my shelf and I'm getting emotional. Every time I have a bad day, I pop open that little box, I pull out a note and I say, this is why you do what you do. So thank you for that.
Me too. I know. And again, you're just so wonderful. And really with the membership, you could see us. So I'm more afraid that you're going to think, oh my God. So I do it because too, you're watching, but that's what I need for you to watch. And I met some great friends. I met Carolyn Witry, who's my cheerleader. I just had a big color correction last week. Well, a first time referral, my first referral from somebody else.
Nice.
And I was having a heart attack and I didn't want to bother you because I thought, I know I can do it. She called me up and really cheered me on. And I hope to be friends with her in a different time zone. I never knew anybody like out of Pennsylvania. And I know her and I know like Cherie down in Australia.
That's what's so beautiful about, I love the community piece. You know, there's tons of education on hair. You can go on Instagram and piece it all together. You can go on YouTube and piece it all together. You can get free education everywhere. But my goal with this membership, and the reason it's a membership and not a course, there's a difference between here's a course, push the button, play the video. I don't care what happens to you, do it or don't do it. I have your money. Like I never wanted that to be it. I want it to have a community. I know every single person's name and face as if I have known them forever. And that was important to me because I want to see, is the person getting that transformation? Like, are they really becoming a better colorist when they're finished than when they came in? And I don't have a boss. I don't have a review that I sit down to every 3 months. I don't have a report card like I did in school. So for me, when it comes time for the renewal, like you said, you're in your 2nd year, that's my report card. When people say, hell yes, I'm signing up again. I don't want to miss a single thing that you do. That tells me that the transformation has happened. The trust is there. And then we can just continue on our relationship because you're never done. You're never done learning. I've been doing this 35 years.
I was going to join before the 2nd year because I was so excited to be a 2nd year. And again, all my friends that were all the members that joined with me, I got to know their faces and you get to see them and you correspond. The hot seats are great. Oh my God, my first hot seat was terrible, but they're wonderful. You know, somebody else's hot seat.
Your first hot seat was not terrible. People love that. I still have people talk about that. They comment, and I can see the comments under the video. So when people watch the replay, they're like, thank you so much, Lisa. That was such a great conversation. So no, that was not terrible.
I'm gonna have to go back and look.
Yeah. No, it's always well received because whatever you're struggling with and whatever question that you had, so do 55, 60 other people, but they're not engaging and participating and they're not showing their weakness and asking. Like to my knowledge, have never made anyone feel bad about a question, because that's what I'm here for.
Mhm.
Don't ever not bother me. Like, don't ever say I didn't want to bother you. If I'm on vacation, my kids are like, oh God, she's freaking out. She's in Maine and she has no Wi-Fi. She's worried about her members. Like, I was checking in every time we got to a coffee shop or anywhere there was Wi-Fi. I was like, I don't want anyone to be in the middle of a correction and not have my support. That's my job. That's my responsibility. So I take it very seriously and I absolutely love it. Like, when
And
it's
I've
too
done that
quiet,
too.
I'm
I've
like, what's going on? It's too quiet. Where is everybody? Somebody has to have a problem.
Yeah, I texted you and maybe somebody else would answer, but you always get back to me, and that's what you need.
Yeah.
Somebody that'll help you. And if this was your dream, kudos to you, because again, this is where you need to be, because we
Thank
need you
you.
there.
Yeah, every 10 years I go through a rebirth of some sort. Like, okay, well, now what's next? And I said, for the first time in my life, I'm not worried about what's next. I'm so much enjoying what is now. Of course, I just created that mentorship because I found that to be a huge need in the industry. So I can't stop myself from my crazy thoughts and my over ambition and type A personality, but being able to provide that free to hairstylists that don't have that strong mentorship and community around them, especially people that are coming out of school and might, I don't think it's a good idea, but they're going right into suites. So they have no support system, and you can imagine now that you've come so far in the program, imagine you coming right out of school and going into a suite.
No.
How would that have worked out?
I actually need a job someday because my boss, he's going to retire. He's like a little older, but now I'm so confident. I don't know where I'm going, but guess what? I can't wait to get there. And if the first one isn't good, like you said, it's not right, you go to the next one and you'll find your connection. And I'm going to take coffee and donuts and something good when I go.
You like that story. So in one of my lessons, I talk about, if you're listening and you're fairly new in the industry and you're like, how do I even go about getting a job? Everything feels so overwhelming. And you want, you look for a salon that's going to care about your training and education, but sometimes you don't want something that's so structured and rigid. So it's hard to find that home. But I always say, don't call on the phone and ask if they're hiring, and don't send an email, and don't, just do everything that everybody else does. Look at help wanted ads or whatever. Like, focus in on what your dream salon is and show up on a busy Saturday with a box of Joe. You can get them at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. It's a big box of coffee. They give you the paper cups, the creamers, the stirrers, the sugars, all the things. Get a box of donuts. I know everybody's so carb conscious and gluten-free and this and that, but everybody on a Saturday when their sugar drops is going to eat that donut in a salon because they're starving. And what an impression, right? Like, I know how many Saturdays I've been where I will gnaw somebody's arm off because there's nothing to eat. And I'm like weak with my sugar dropping and I haven't eaten since 8 a.m. and it's 3 p.m. So that, to me, with a little note, don't stay, don't get anybody's way. Just drop it at the front desk with a little note saying, hi, my name's Lisa and I'm looking for my new salon home. And if you're hiring or would consider hiring me, I would love to sit down and chat with you. Like, that's the way to get somebody's attention. It's not the only way, but
I know.
That's what I would do, because we're human. You have to put yourself in anything. Like, my kids are so great. I have to brag about my kids for a minute, and you've met Bryn, so but
she's wonderful.
My kids are with me the way you are with the membership. Everybody's parents tell them, like, you should, and we're like, wah, you're old, you don't know what you're talking about, and we don't listen to our parents. Everything I've ever suggested to my kids, they trust and do, and they find success, and they're like, okay, what's next? Like, they actually lean into it. I've never met any other kids that have listened to their parents like that. Because my gift that I see myself is being like that strange, I call myself the purple cow. There's a book, Be the Purple Cow. Like, I look at life so differently than anyone else. And I'm always stepping outside the routine. If we're at Disney, we would be at Disney as a family and the line's really long, and we would get to a point where you had to go right or left. Everybody goes right. It's just a human nature thing. And I'd be like, guys, let's go left. Like, everybody's going right. We're going left. We're all going to the same place. And we would get on the ride 10 people before the people that were in front of us that went right. So it's like sometimes making that small little change changes everything. So
Yep.
I want to hear, you've given me all the props and the kudos for the hair color part, but I want to hear about the 180 method and how much that, because that's, for me, that's what helped me change careers and become an educator and start this whole business, working with her and having an outside set of eyes on my situation and having her really corner me sometimes and getting me to see what I couldn't see was the push that I needed. So what have you found to be something new and different? Like, how are you handling something differently as a result of doing that 180 method?
Well, again, when you start the program, you go back and you find out all these things in your past that you were relating to differently because you didn't know any better. So now that I know that it really wasn't the way I think it was, and again, if you watch it, she was in the mentorship, listen to that. It's the exact class. And you see where it's not as scary as it was. You do it, you fail forward, you have confidence. And I'm telling you, my business went up, just talking to people went up, and my relationship with my husband is better. Everything. You just want to be happy. And I started this about, well, when I got COVID. I thought if I survive, I'm going to change what I was doing. Then I met Elaine, then I met Alejandra, and I didn't even get to be 59 in August. And I came in 1 year and a half. I didn't even wait to get to 60. I'm only 59. And it's just like, oh my God, I
I
cannot
love
believe
that.
it. It's
I love that so
100%.
much because it's taking that first step.
Yep.
It's, I want to do something different than I've done before. And there's not, I shouldn't say there's not, but there's rarely a human being on earth that is trying something so uncomfortable and outside the box that doesn't feel like, oh my God, this is a bad idea. I'm terrified. This is awful. But on the other side of fear is so much joy. If we could just quiet our monkey mind from saying, this is going to happen and you're going to fall on your face and you're going to be embarrassed and all those things that bubble up, they're not going anywhere. Like if we wait for them to go anywhere, it's for everything. It's trying that new restaurant. It's getting on an airplane and taking a different trip somewhere you've never been. And for you, you came by yourself to the retreat. Like that's huge. Most women are like, I don't even know how I'm going to get to the airport. Like who's going to drive me and how do I check my bag? And what about the COVID testing and all the things? Like that's a lot. That's an anxiety producing situation. And you just stepped right through it. And the look on your, I mean, you were so happy. Every time I looked at you at the retreat, you had a big smile on your face. You had a different posse around you. Every time I saw you, you were meeting more friends. And that wasn't comfortable for you, right? That's not like who you ever were before that. Like you weren't.
No, I mean, I'm friendly and I talk, but only to people that I know. And what Alejandra said, and even you kind of went back to it in the beginning, if you feel like you're going to throw up, you're doing it right.
That's
You
right.
know what? You have to
I
feel
love
like you're
that.
going to be sick. And I did. And, you know, like if people drop out, no, you got to go do it. Just do it and stay up at night. I mean, I don't even want to watch TV anymore. I want to keep looking at my lessons and rewinding them all. Because every time I get another little nugget, like I love them nuggets. They're
It's
wonderful.
so true. Because sometimes you hear it differently the second or third time.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
And again,
I just got a note today. I was getting my nails done and a message popped up. You know how sometimes Facebook hides messages from people that aren't in your friend group or whatever. So I'm so glad I found it because it was buried. Somehow I stumbled upon it. And she was just like, oh my gosh, I'm 41. I started beauty school late. I'm a late bloomer or whatever. And I was raising my kids and all that. And she gave me her backstory and she said, I found you on YouTube and I absolutely love you. I love what I'm hearing. I walk around the house listening to you all the time. My husband is like, who is this woman? I love hearing that because I have such a, voice that is so recognizable. Like if I'm in a department store and I'm talking to somebody and somebody's in the dressing room 3 doors down, they're like, is that you, Elaine? Because it's so noticeable. It's so manly and raspy. I can't help it. But such a compliment that like she stumbled upon me on YouTube and that I helped her without ever meeting her. Like, she's like, I didn't know how to reach out to you. I don't know if this is bad that I'm reaching out to you on Facebook. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, like, thank you for taking the time to tell me, because it goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. I don't get a report card. I have no idea if I'm doing a good job or if I'm at one of my coffee chats. I got so excited. I was sharing that math equation that I teach everyone. And I was talking real fast and I said times 12, and I didn't even know I said it.
Well,
And like 3 different people reached out and said, oh, maybe I got it wrong. I thought it was times 2. Like, is this something new? And I was like, crap. I went so quick to Facebook and just took the whole, and I was so bummed because the video was, I thought it was a good one. And I just reacted so fast, and I could have taken it down and just taken that part out. But I was like, I don't want anyone else to hear this and confuse them, because that is not my intention. Like, I've worked so hard to get them to understand it.
intentions.
If I say times 12, like everyone's gonna be like, oh, times 12, it's something new. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 back up, back up. So I had to like pull that down really quickly. But I respect the responsibility that I have. I'm very careful. Like, if you ask me a question, I'll say, Lisa, I'm answering you as Elaine, the colorist. I am not a chemist. I am not a genius. I don't know everything. I know for me, if this were me in the salon, this is what I would do. And luckily, 99% of the time, it's a good answer because I have done it in the salon. But as you now know, there's things you have to really take into consideration: the porosity of the hair, the texture of the hair, what lies beneath the hair, how many other colors are under there. So, you say you don't think that you're that great with correction, but I've seen your work and I've seen some of the things that you've done. And I think that people listening probably haven't even done as much as you've done. I think you're much further ahead than you realize that you are. It's always going to be scary when something like splat or henna or, something crazy comes your way, but it's all about stepping back, taking a deep breath, having a really good consultation. Like you said, that's the most important thing. And just being honest and saying, I'm not really sure how many steps this is going to take for this to work out, because you have a lot going on in your hair. Like, just that honest conversation goes so far. Where I've seen other colors be like, oh my gosh, yes. And they have no idea what they're doing. And then they make the correction even more of a correction, and the hair is completely damaged. And then it becomes almost unfixable because they didn't admit their limitations. So it's knowing your limitations, having the confidence when you are confident, and being honest when you're not, and doing what Lisa does. And when you don't know, you ask. Isn't it so simple?
And I have to tell you, I'm left-handed and dyslexic, which was one of my problems, but now I love it. I don't care that I screw it up. I have a big thing in my color room saying the math equation because I need to see it. And if I didn't write it down, I would screw it up, but that's okay. And left-handed, you look in the mirror when you watch somebody cut and it turns it all around. And then
wow, I never even thought about that. That is very tricky, the whole left-handed thing.
Yep, but it's wonderful and it just works.
So do you have a hard time finding shears? Like, if you go to the hair show, do they not have left-handed shears? Or they have?
I went to Australia, excellent edges. They're wonderful if you're left-handed, but I seen you had somebody on there too. Misty was just saying, I'm going to check out that.
The Utsumi, they sponsored the mentorship, and they're
you could
giving
always
us
use
a little
another
discount.
for something,
Yeah,
they're wonderful.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So what has been your biggest, like, if you had to narrow it down to one thing? I know there's been a lot of things, but like, what's been the biggest shift for you from previous colorist Lisa to colorist now Lisa?
Well, formulation. I really had no idea. I mean, again, you just don't know these things. So now that I know how to formulate, I'm always thinking, and then the eye color, and you look warm and cool, and you see what looks good on everybody. That is wonderful. The veins, that is wonderful, which again, didn't know that. And even like with the highlights, stepping back, picking out the ones, connecting them together. It's just like amazing. But then I hear you in the background saying what I need to do, and I do it. And
oh my gosh, I'm having such a I was going to say proud mom moment, but proud mentor moment of like every single thing that you're saying is like the highlights of the experience. You know what I mean? They're the important things, because a lot of people miss that stuff. Like, they'll watch the video on eye and skin color and like, oh yeah, I just want to get to the highlights. I want to get to the balayage, and they skip it. And then, they're finished the whole program, and I'll say something in a coffee chat, like, somebody will say, well, what do you think I should do for her? And I say, well, does it even look good on her skin tone? And they'll go, what do you mean? And I'm like, a good colorist looks at their client and sees is that even a good idea, that shade that she's picking? You don't want to just give the client what they're asking for because they don't even know the difference.
How
And,
about
you
this
know,
one? I had a consultation and I wanted to do it online or, Facebook, like you said, and she was hesitant. And then the more I said it, she's told the girlfriend that, oh my God, she's asking me all these questions. I was all freaked out. But then when she realized what I was doing, she was like, oh my God, I never had this before. And she rebooked. And I think if I get her as a customer, like it was all because you did it and you followed through, but they could be a little intimidated. But again, it's what you need to do.
it's so true how you said that's probably the first time they've ever heard it. And that's, we talk about competition and, everybody talks about how do I get new clients? How do I get new clients? I'm like, love on the ones you have right in front of you so much and be so different and unique with your approach. Like I love how you brought up the couture highlight technique where it's not standing over top of a head and picking up your tail comb and just picking up the next piece of hair because it's there. It's stepping back and saying, where do I need light? Where do I need depth? Where do I need nothing in between? Where do I need maybe a mid light or a low light or a highlight, or what do I need to do to create texture and fine hair? Like there's so much more to color than whipping up a bowl of bleach and just slapping it on whatever hair is in front of you, bringing it up to palest, almost white, snapping off the head, and then, tossing on a guess of a demi and hoping for the best that it's not overtoned. There's so many people out there doing that, and there's so much more to it. And if you want to be that go-to person in your area, like I love hearing that you're getting referrals. So that woman that you talked about, her eye color and all that, you're going to get referrals from her because she's going to go into work and she's going to stand next to the water cooler and say, did your hairdresser ever ask you to show you the inside of their wrist so they could see the color of your veins? And they're gonna be like, no, who is your hairdresser and what is her number?
I gave her a fringe benefit gift for referring. And I said, anytime you do it, I'll give you a fringe benefit for anybody who refers me, if you refer to me, and that all works. So
Nice.
It's just like, unbelievable.
Well, you are a star. You are my star member doing all the right things. And I could not be prouder. And I'm so blessed to know you, to have met you. And I hope that we're friends forever, no matter how long either of us is doing hair. I know we're going to stay in touch. So it's a beautiful thing that has happened. And if we've gotten any gifts from the pandemic, it's the gift of virtual connection. Like you said, you're friendly with, people from Australia and people from other states, and you can just click a button at any time and connect with them. And it's just so beautiful. So thank you for stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing this podcast. This is your first podcast. We have to celebrate that. That's so cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. And make sure you share it. Be proud of it. Put it on your social media and share it with people so that they feel like they can do that. They can do that too. People,
right.
I mean, I'm sure you had a few butterflies when we pushed record. Who wouldn't? But then look at it. It's a conversation between two friends, and you're sharing with other people how much your life has changed, and you're helping somebody by doing
hopefully
that.
I could help, and you're definitely helping. So hopefully I'll see you. I definitely will at the next retreat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Okay, thanks, Elaine.
Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.